Today I'm behind the wheel of a brand new 2021 Toyota Sequoia TRD PRO. Now for this year, there's only one change, and that is the new color you could choose, Lunar Rock. Last year there was Army Green, this year there's Lunar Rock. Now if you didn't want to select Lunar Rock, you could select silver, black, or white, and today I have the white Sequoia TRD PRO. Now the reason why there's no other change is because Toyota is getting ready for the next generation of the Sequoia. This one has been out for quite some time, and we know next year a brand new Tundra debuts, and the Sequoia should follow right after that. With that said, is the Sequoia TRD PRO any good? Is it good at being a full-size SUV, and is it good at hauling a family around? Well, if you're curious, keep watching. All right, I'm on the road. Let's see how good this brand new Sequoia TRD PRO is and how it drives. Well, to start out, I'll say that I did review a 2020 Sequoia TRD PRO last year. It was a black one, and I loved it. I loved that SUV. In general, I like all the TRD PRO SUVs, and that's because there's just something about it. They look masculine, they look different, they ride very well, they have the off-road chops, and you can drive them daily very comfortably. And that's the case with the Sequoia TRD PRO. So let's start out with the outside. Even though this doesn't have the brand new Lunar Rock color, which I think looks fantastic, this white looks just as good in my opinion. I love contrast, and that's what you get with this white version of Sequoia TRD PRO. Starting with the front end, you get a different grille, very big, blacked out, right? And also, you do see the big headlights, full LED by the way, LED, low beam, high beam, daytime running lights, and LED rigid fog lights underneath. But just take a look at it. Big, brawny, in your face, right? It's a big full-size SUV. You can't really miss it. Now, what you don't see is if you move underneath, you'll see a gigantic TRD PRO skid plate in case you do go off-road. And around all four corners, suspension is specially tuned TRD dampers. They are Fox shocks with TRD springs. They have reservoirs, and they give the Sequoia a softer ride with a little bit more travel. And I'm going to talk about it in a little bit because they are fantastic both off-road and on-road. And if you move to the side, of course, you get that big full-size SUV look, which I really like, but there's three things you notice right away. Number one, look on top. You get an enormous roof rack, right? It is gigantic and it looks extremely sturdy. You can pretty much haul whatever you want up there. It does look really, really beefy. Also, what you notice is the beautiful black TRD wheels, 18-inch BBS, lightweight wheels. And again, with the contrast, right, the white and the black, they really stand out. And of course, you do have side steps, which is nice, TRD side steps. So it's easier to get in and out. I mean, this Sequoia TRD PRO is quite high as a full-size truck. Now, moving it back, same thing. What stands out is the black emblems, right? The chrome has been replaced with black. So on top, you have a spoiler, shark fin antenna. Those are pretty standard. A very large privacy glass is black, right? Then you see the Sequoia trim bar that's usually chrome, replaced with black, right? And the emblems are in black. Gives good contrast. Of course, you see the TRD PRO badging too. And of course, you can tow with this Sequoia TRD PRO, not as much as a Tundra, not as much as a regular Sequoia because of the suspension change, but you can still tow over 7,000 pounds, which is plenty. So if you want to tow a boat, a trailer, whatever, you can do so with the Sequoia. What's also nice back there is the tailgate window comes all the way down, and you don't see many SUVs that allow that. It makes it really convenient to just throw things in there without opening the tailgate. Now, if you do open the tailgate behind the third row, you know, plenty of space. This is a full-size SUV, so plenty of space, plenty of hidden storage underneath. 12V outlet on the right side. On the left side, you get power switches to fold down your third row. And with the third row down, you can see you have enormous amount of cargo room. Once you move inside, you'll notice the biggest benefit to a full-size SUV, and that is the space. There is so much space inside. In the second row, everything is covered with leather. It's not the best looking leather, but it is black leather with red stitching, so that's pretty nice. And I'm 5'10", and take a look. When I'm sitting in second row, I have over a foot of legroom left, about 4 to 5 inches of headroom, and the seats do slide and recline quite a bit to a sleeping position almost. And if you want to move in the third row, no problem. The space between the captain chairs is enormous. No problems with me getting the back between the captain chairs, but you can also fold the seats forward. Now, once in the back, even behind the second row, all the way pushed to the back, I still have like an inch or two of leg room. So it's pretty spacious, and the seats are quite high, so it's very comfortable. You do get vents on top and 2 cup holders on each side. That's about it. No USB ports, unfortunately. Now, in the second row, the only amenities you get is a 12V outlet, so you have to share. Also, climate controls and vents on top. That's about it. But you get enormous amount of space in the second row, in the third row, and cargo room. So look at me up here. There's so much room, right? 3-4 inches of headroom, plenty of shoulder room, hip room. My legs do not hit the door panel or the center console, nowhere close to hitting them. So I have plenty of space up here, which is really nice. What's also good about a full-size SUV is the driving position and visibility. It's really, really good inside here. I mean, once you get into the seat, I mean, you realize how high you are off the ground. You're looking down on everyone. It's a very commanding view, and it's fantastic. And also visibility. You know, I could see well over the hood, despite the hood being quite high. There's no hood scoops like the Tundra TRD Pro, so nothing blocking your vision, so that's good. The windshield is enormous. All the windows, every window is enormous. Same thing with the rear window, even with the headrest up and the third row, I could still see out the back. So visibility is fantastic too. Oof. What's also really nice about the Sequoia TRD Pro and all Sequoias is this V8 engine and this transmission. Man, I really wish Toyota does not get rid of this engine with the next generation of Sequoia and the next generation of Tundra. It should be an optional engine because it's so good. It's so powerful. Despite the fact that it has been around for over a decade, still one of the best V8s you can get inside a full-size truck or SUV. It's really, really nice. 381 horsepower, 401 pound-feet of torque, plenty of power. That 0 to 60, well, not 0 to 60, that was like 15, 20 to 60. It was lively. I mean, this is a 6,000 pound SUV, and that felt lively. It takes a very powerful engine to make that happen. Now I'm on a freeway that's very, very bad. It's very patchy, a lot of dips, potholes, imperfections. You guys could see it on the screen. I almost don't feel it inside the Sequoia TRD Pro. That's how soft the suspension is. Normally when I'm traveling here with any other car, you know, it's so. It's not the best because this rough patch is really bad. But because of the TRD Pro suspension, it is so soft. It is really like driving a cloud around. It is that soft. I love it. It feels so comfortable. It's even softer than the Tundra TRD Pro. And the Tundra TRD Pro is very soft already around town. This is even softer. Like, there is really nothing you can't just traverse over. Now, something else I like about the Sequoia TRD Pro over, let's say, the Tundra TRD Pro is the exhaust. In the Tundra TRD Pro, you know, Toyota put in a very aggressive TRD exhaust system, and it makes a lovely noise anytime you floor it. But the problem is when you're going on a steep hill with load, or you're you're towing something, or you're going uphill, you're just, coasting away at 80 miles per hour with constant throttle, you hear that exhaust all the time, right? And it just gets tiresome. That's not a problem inside the Sequoia TRD Pro. It doesn't have the same exhaust, even though the same engine, same powertrain, but it doesn't utilize that same catback system, the exhaust system. So overall, you're still getting a good V8 sound, but not nearly as loud as the one in the Tundra, which makes it really, really nice. The seats up here are also fantastic. Just like the rear seats, they're black leather. They're not the fanciest leather out there. There's no quilted or different color piping and all that stuff. It is leather, and you do see TRD Pro that's stitched right on top, so it does add a little pop, and the red stitching, of course. But the seats are just designed so well. They're very big and wide and very soft. Again, kind of like you're driving a cloud around. I mean, these seats, they don't cut into my thighs. The bottom cushion is plenty big. The back, plenty big. It's holding me in, yet it's giving me plenty of room to breathe. I mean, the seats are so comfortable. I could drive around for hours, and I know I won't get a backache or a butt ache. I mean, it's really, really nice. Now, what about the steering? The steering is good too. Let's start out with the steering wheel. The steering wheel is a Toyota truck-based steering wheel. It's very big, and you see this in the Tundra, the Tacoma, the 4Runner, and the Sequoia. But I just noticed that the normal silver trim pieces that you usually see has been blackened out. They're black now, and somehow it makes it a little bit different, and I like it. I actually like that quite a bit. But the steering wheel itself, it's big. The 10 and 2 spot is very thick. The leather feels very good in my hands. So steering wheel overall, can't complain. Also, the buttons on both sides, pretty easy to figure out. Right side is for the info screen inside the gauge cluster and some safety systems. And the left side is for like your modes, your volume, your voice control, stuff like that. The steering wheel itself is good too. I mean, there is some steering play. You could see in the steering wheel right now, there is some steering play. You could see, the steering wheel is moving a little bit. But because of how good the steering wheel is, and there's a good weight to the steering feel, even though it's not the most precise steering, it's still enjoyable. I think it's still good. It matches the characteristics of the Sequoia TRD Pro really well. So can't really complain. It could be better, but it's not too bad. As I'm coming to a stop right now, the brakes are also pretty good. The pedal is good, what you expect. It's not firm, it's not mushy, it's just right. And the braking is a linear feel, right? No fuss. The only thing is, because of the soft suspension, if you brake harder, you're going to feel the nose dive down. So what are some of the features that you get inside this Sequoia TRD Pro? Well, for starters, you get heated seats, both driver and passenger, pretty nice. Also, power folding mirrors, that's very nice. You get a sunroof, not the biggest sunroof out there, but you do get it, let some light in, so that's also nice. You also get parking sensors in case there's something you can't see. You get tow mode for towing. You get 4-wheel drive, obviously. 2-speed transfer case, so you can pretty much go anywhere. So you get all those things. You get a center locking differential too, in case you really want to tackle some hairy terrain, some rocky terrain, sandy terrain. You want to make sure you're pushing the same amount of power front and rear. You could lock the center differential. That's also nice. And of course, you do get a touchscreen and an infotainment system. Honestly, this one isn't bad. The screen's a little bit small. I wish the one that is in the Tundra, that 8-inch screen, should be inside here. So it is touch, so you can navigate however you want. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay standard, Wi-Fi standard, the essential stuff. Inside here, navigation is also standard in case you want to use the built-in navigation. And the responsiveness isn't too bad. Overall, the resolution, responsiveness, and how you navigate is good. It's good. And you do have a volume knob and a scroll knob, although the volume knob is quite small. All the other knobs inside here are enormous, except the volume. So I think that's a little bit of oversight. And you have some physical buttons on the side too. Now, speaking of those large knobs, take a look at the climate controls, right? They are enormous. And that's designed like that on purpose for people that actually work. You know, it's cold out, you're wearing gloves, right? It's easy to just turn these huge knobs. Underneath, you have 3 USB ports, another 12V outlet. There's a lot of 12V outlets in one here. There's one inside the armrest, which frankly is too big in my opinion. It is absolutely enormous. You could fit so many things inside there. You also get one 12V outlet in the second row for the second row passengers and one in the cargo area. So that's actually a lot of 12V outlets everywhere. What you get more of is cup holders. The first time I reviewed the Sequoia TRD Pro, I did not realize how many cup holders there were. So I counted it today, and there is 17 cup holders. So there's 2 in each door panel. So that right away is 8. There's 3 cup holders up here, so that's 11. There's 2 more in the second row, right? So that makes 13. And then there's 4, 2 on each side in the third row. So you have 17 cup holders inside the Sequoia TRD Pro. So you know, Toyota thought of families and drinks. Other features I didn't mention yet, you get a power lift gate, which is really nice out back. You get HomeLink buttons and a compass built into the rear view mirror, so that's nice. And lastly, you get Toyota Safety Sense. So the full suite of safety features from Toyota, you pretty much get it all. Blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert included, also front emergency braking and warning, lane assist, lane warning, adaptive cruise control, auto high beam, all those things are included. So the Sequoia TRD Pro is also very safe. With that said, are there any bad things about the Sequoia TRD Pro? Well, there's a few things. They're not bad, just things that the Sequoia TRD Pro doesn't excel at. You know, I mentioned about the powerful engine, right? Powerful engine and great transmission. The downside to it is fuel economy. This Sequoia TRD Pro gets 14 miles per gallon combined. Yes. So if you're just driving mostly in the city, it's a lot worse than that. So fuel economy isn't the greatest. Also, you could argue that the dash design up here feels and looks dated, which I do agree with. I wish Toyota simply updated dash to match the one inside the Tundra, because honestly, I think the one inside the Tundra is good. People argue that it's not as good as, say, the new F-150 or the Ram. That's true, but I like the look of the dash design center console area of the Tundra. If that was moved in here, I think that would make a big difference. This one is pulled from like the previous Tundra, so it does feel a little bit dated. However, everything works. There's not a lot of buttons, just a few large knobs, right? And you get the essentials like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, stuff like that, and even Wi-Fi. So, I mean, it works, but yeah, it's a little bit dated. I mean, as a family hauler, yes, you get a ton of cup holders and a ton of space, but one thing that's lacking is USB ports. There's only 3 up here, and there's none in the second row, none in the third row. So I think that is also a bad. If Toyota just added a few more USB ports, it'll be fantastic. Next, let me talk about different trim levels for the Sequoia and also pricing for this TRD Pro and give you my final thoughts. As for the 2021 Toyota Sequoia, there are 6 different trim levels. The base SR starts a tad over $50,000. Then you have the TRD Sport Limited, a brand new Nightshade Special Edition that's available for 2021. And finally the TRD Pro, which is over $64,000. There are no packages for the TRD Pro. Finally, you have the range topping Platinum, which comes in over $66,000. To conclude, the 2021 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro hasn't changed, and that's not a bad thing. The Sequoia has a big brawny look on the outside, and the TRD wheels, roof rack, grille, black emblems make it stand out even more. The TRD suspension along with the seats give the TRD Pro a cloud-like ride. The interior is enormous and comes with all the features you've come to expect. The drive is quiet and the ride height is very high, and the powerful and tried and true powertrain is lovely. The bad to the Sequoia TRD Pro is the fuel economy, also lack of USB ports, the dash design is dated, and finally the Sequoia TRD Pro is missing some of the high-end optional features that others have in this class. Overall, I'm giving the 2021 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro a score of 99. To learn more about it and to see where it ranks, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Hit the like and subscribe to the channel and check out these 2 other videos.